All right. Thank you all for joining. This is Prashant Kumar from Cashflow Champs. Uh, at Cashflow Champs, we are helping investors gain financial freedom through passive investments in real estate. Today's topic is, key principal and loan guarantors. This is a small group. We can make it more interactive. Feel free to post your question in the Q&A box, and I will try to answer as we go along. Just a little bit, I'm not an attorney, financial advisor, or tax advisor. This is informational only webinar. If you need professional advice, you seek it from appropriate personnel. So I live here in Long Island, New York, married, of course, with 2 kids. As a team, we have about $146 million in assets under management. I personally have had about 2,000 units in past, 1,000 have been sold. I host a Cashflow Champs Real Estate podcast. I love helping others. I love multifamily, and I love assisted living space. I like to meditate regularly, and I help others. That's my passion. I help others to meditate as well. I've been doing it for 15 years as a voluntary instructor, free of charge. If anybody needs any information, I can share that. But all in all, at Cashflow Champs, in terms of business, feel free to schedule a call with us, right? If you want to schedule a call with us, no obligation call. We do free underwriting sessions every Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern. You can scan that QR code. In addition to that, we have an inner circle where we are a small group of investors who wants to go into this business. So we do deals with them alongside with them and within the group. So if you are interested in learning more, and again, it's a very exclusive group, about 10 of us, as people come in, they continue to do deals with us. So feel free to, take the screenshot of this slide. You can schedule a call with us. If you want to learn more about coaching, you can go to this website, cashflowchamps.com/coaching. And our underwriting sessions are absolutely free. We are not charged a single penny for years. Feel free to jump onto them, and we would love to talk to you there as well. All right. So in this webinar today, we are going to talk about, what are the different kind of partners, what are the loan guarantors, what does it mean to be a loan guarantors. We will talk about maybe the structure of LLCs, what are the different documents involved, and the sponsor GP split. So the sponsor and GP split structure, we'll talk about that as well. So again, this is a smaller group. I would love to make it more interactive. Feel free to type your questions in Q&A box, and I will try to answer them as we go along. So basically, what are the syndication fundamentals? There is a sponsor of the deal, right? And then you have KPs, and then you have limited partners, passive investors. A sponsor is the one who finds the property, put the property under contract. He puts earnest money deposit. They raise money. The sponsor raises money from investors. They work with the bank, and they run day-to-day operations of the property, right? So that is a sponsor, and they are GPs, basically general partner. Somebody who owns the whole thing, basically finding the property, putting the property under contract, put the earnest money deposit, and raise equity from investors. And the sponsor work with the banks, basically Freddie, Fannie, local banks, and they run day-to-day operations of the property, right? So that's the sponsor. Number two, you have KPs. KPs are actually part of the GP team, but for clarity's sake, I have kept them separate here. They are the ones whose track records bank see. Bank wants to lend the money only in the scenario where it is possible. I mean, bank wants to see KP's track record, basically. Without track record, they do not lend the money. So they check the net worth of the key principals, and they check the liquidity for the key principals. So for key principal, they check the net worth, track record, and the liquidity, basically. So that is an important piece. Those who sign on the loan, they are called key principal, and the bank does the underwriting on them. They look at their assets, in terms of what all do they own, what all have they worked on in past, what kind of real estate projects they have done, and what is the liquidity that they carry when they do these projects, basically. So you have sponsors, and within the sponsors you have KPs, and then equity. The equity comes from investors, basically, and sponsors put the equity also in the deal, and a KP may put the equity on the deal as well. That money is considered as equity. That money is treated as everybody else's money, so it is called LP money. And a KP can invest or GP can invest, and then a limited partner invests in the deal. So really speaking, there are two kind of people: GPs and LPs. Within GPs, you have somebody who's the sponsor of the deal, somebody who's the key principal in the deal, and things like that. And LP money is basically money may come from sponsor, KP, or totally passive investors. So just for clarity's sake, GP and LPs, and within GPs you have KPs also. All right. So once again, basically, who are the GPs? They source the deal, they negotiate the contract, they do the debt source, they do the legal and due diligence, and they do the business plan, right? And they have the pursuit capital, basically acquisition. They put the basically for the acquisition, you put earnest money deposit, but there's money needed to go to that to be able to close the deal. When you go into a deal, you have earnest money deposit, then you have money that is needed for lending, starting the lending due diligence. You do your own due diligence. You call the property manager to do the due diligence. You do the webinars. There's a lot of money that is needed to be spent, basically. So that is called pursuit capital. So it's all sponsors' responsibility. Sponsors go out, they raise the capital. It's a lot of work. They raise the capital, and they find a loan or the balance sheet guarantor, which is the KP, and then the asset management happens. So a lot of work that sponsors do in these deals, and some of it is mentioned here. So what is key principal? Okay, that's what the purpose of the webinar is. A key principal is the one who's taking the risk and signing on the loan, right? And for that, because they are taking the risk, they are in the real estate, they know whom they are talking to, they typically take percentage in GP share, basically. It could be anywhere from 5 to 15 to 20%. So key principals take percentage of the GP partnership, general partnership, basically. And that percentage depends on how comfortable the KP is with the team, and basically it really depends on how comfortable, how good the deal is, what are the financials looking, And based on that key principal, you may negotiate your terms with the key principal, and basically that's how they get certain percentage. So, and if you are going for an agency loan, Freddie or Fannie, then the typical Freddie and Fannie, they want to have a key principal who has similar experience. So Freddie and Fannie would want basically Freddie and Fannie would want the key principal experience for them to be able to sign on the loan. So, and there can be more than one. So if it is a bigger deal, let's say $15 million deal, which has $10 million loan, and you bring in one key principal whose net worth is not equal to 10 million, then you may have to bring another person. So it's like combination of multiple people who are needed on the deal, basically, who basically, I mean, there can be multiple people. There could be multiple groups who could be the loan guarantors in one deal, as long as their net worth is exceeding the loan amount, right? So, and second thing is, the loan guarantor needs to have about 10% of the loan amount liquidity, right? So net worth equal to the loan amount, and liquidity about 10% of the loan amount that is needed from the pool of key principals. Their percentages fixed in the GP structure, and they share, depending upon their net worth, they share the percentage, basically. And different kind of loans have different requirements, Freddie, and I gave you typical Freddie and Fannie loan guarantor requirements, but Freddie and Fannie are typically non-recourse loans. But if you look at local banks have different requirements, completely different requirements. The loans are recourse, and there may be some flexibility in those requirements. So it's best to shop around. Number one, shop around for the loans. Once the loan is confirmed, then you know exactly what is my key principal requirements, right? The person who's signing on the loan, and that's when the negotiation starts. Basically, what does bank want? Some banks may go a little bit up and down. It is, the net worth may be 100%, or maybe it could be a little bit less. Sometimes they accept that as well. And then basically, then, in terms of the liquidity, they may ask for 10% of the loan amount, or they may settle down at 5%. So, but in general, you know that it is net worth equal to the loan amount, and liquidity equal to 10% of the loan amount. That's what is needed from the key principal group. Feel free to ask any questions if you have any. I would appreciate that. It's a small group again. I'm here, Prashant Kumar from Cashflow Champs. By the way, I'm a certified commercial investment member, CCIM, also. So I do a lot of underwriting myself. I deal with a lot of key principals. But on a GP split side, I mean, I'm just giving you some example. So let's say you have a project where you have, I'm giving the base. The GP side of the project is divided into and let's consider whatever it is, let's consider that as 100%. That could be divided among equity partners, key principals, somebody who put the risk capital, acquisition, and the asset management, right? So overall, from those who are bringing the equity to the table, they get at least one third of the deal, right? So it all depends on how you want to structure the deal. At a high level, I typically would say 1/3 for the equity partner, 1/3 for the acquisition, and 1/3 for the asset management. That's what I do. But there are different examples. Everybody does things differently. Equity partner, 30% key principal, maybe anywhere from 5 to 20%. A key principal may sign on the loan for for nothing. I mean, they may just sign it for 5%. That's fine. Somebody who wants to put the risk capital, they may put the risk capital just for 5%. So I'm just trying to be generous. There's somebody who's doing the acquisition, they may do that. The acquisition may be assigned 5 to 10%. Asset management could be assigned additional. Asset management should actually be about 30%. So all in all, equity, asset management, and acquisition. Equity, asset management, acquisition, I typically would give 1/3 to these, but again, it all depends on the deal. As deal goes along, basically, it all depends on how difficult the deal is, how comfortable the key principal is. I've seen key principal signing on the loan for as little as 2 to 3% of the general partnership. So where would the remaining portion go? That will go into the asset management. Somebody who's putting the risk capital, they may come in for 5% of risk capital for the general partnership. Similarly, those who are doing the acquisition, working hard on the deal, they may do all the work for 5 to 10%. So again, equity, asset management, and acquisition. Equity, acquisition, and asset management, 1/3. You just divide it in your mind, and then you go further down. So, I mean, there could be different examples. I have example 1, 2, 3, where, you may want to give a little bit more to the equity partner, but maybe a little less to the asset management because acquisition was a little hard. You give an asset manager more or less. In my mind, it should really be equity is 30%, acquisition is 30%, and asset management is 30%, and then you switch your percentages. All right, from a loan guarantor standpoint, basically in any deal, what are the different documents that we need, when we write on a deal, when we basically create a deal. Standard documents are offering memorandums, year-to-date financials and current trend roll. These are the 3 documents that we get from broker. And once we have deal under contract, basically we create private placement memorandum, then operating agreement, and the subscription document. These are the 3 documents that go out to investors: private placement memorandum, which is called PPM, operating agreements, and subscription document. So investor is actually reviewing. So basically in the subscription document, investors say, I have reviewed the PPM and I'm subscribing to this operating agreement. And they sign on the subscription document, and then they invest money in the deal. Basically, then you have the offering memorandum also. That is our offering memorandum. Those who are sponsors, right? They create their offering memorandum. Based on that offering memorandum, subscription, all these PPMs and operating agreement and subscription documents are created, and that's how investor invests. At the year end, investor gets K1, financial document basically. So at the year end, investors get K1 and that's the only document that investors need. Once they have passively invested in the deal, the only document they get from sponsor is a K1, year-end K1. So again, in the beginning of the deal, when you're underwriting a deal, you need an operating memorandum from broker, you need year-to-date financials, and you need the current rent roll, and then you underwrite the deal. Once the deal is under contract, you create your own offering memorandum for your investors. Then you have legal involved to create the PPM, operating agreement, and subscription document. And once the deal is closed, every year your CPA should create K1s for investors. So this is just a depiction of how any deal would look like. You may have borrowing entity, and that entity may have 2 classes of shares. One is for investors, and one is for general partners, basically, right? So, a typical structure is 70-30. It could be 80-20, it could be 85-20, 85-15, whatever works for you to be able to generate returns for your investors. But at a high level, you would have some split. And in this example, you have Class A members, which are the investors. They are getting 70% of the deal because they are bringing the money to the table. And in the general partnership side, you may have multiple partners, somebody who's working on the acquisition, somebody who brought the money to the table, earnest money deposit to the table, and those who are going to work on the asset management, and those who have brought the equity to the table. So they all share that 30% of the deal in this example, right? So on the Class A side, you could have investors, they could come in as LLC, they could come have individual investors, and basically, we can go deeper into this, but there could be scenarios where private equity groups are coming in, so then the structure would change. But at a high level, if you are raising the money from passive investors, those investors may come in as a group through an LLC, or they may basically come in as individual investors. So they all share the 70% of the deal, basically prorate in terms of the prorated equity. So I think that's all I have, but I just want to connect with you all once again. If you want to schedule a call with us, feel free to schedule a call. The leftmost QR code, the middle QR code is basically, we have free underwriting sessions on Saturdays at 4 p.m. Eastern, and we have been doing it. You can bring your questions, it's free of charge. Feel free to scan that QR code in the middle. And as I said, basically, if you are in this space, want to learn more, want to do deals, kickstart your career, you want to join the inner circle in which we are doing deals with our students all the time. I mean, within 3 to 6 months, most of the students are in deals with us, or they are doing deals among themselves, because it's a very concentrated effort. Feel free to scan that last QR code, and we will connect with you. Register for the webinar for next week. Take the screenshot of this, or you want to register for it, basically. And that's all. I mean, that's all we have today. And in addition to these, we have live deals going on, multiple live deals going on. If you want to schedule a call or send me an email, I can share more details of those live deals. They are upwards of 16 to 18 IRR. One deal we closed last week, which is in Atlanta, about 18, 19 IRR. I mean, 17 IRR, I'm sorry. 17 IRR, one is coming on board. So if you go to Cashflow Champs /new deal, Cashflow Champs /new deal, you will see a deal basically which is available for investments. Is a 506C deal, which is accredited investors only, or just connect with us, basically. The leftmost QR code. We would love to talk to you more. So let's see. This will be, yes, Kyle said that, would there be a replay? Yes, there would be a replay for sure. Kyle will send you the replay. Matt Strayer, thank you so much for coming. So basically, what are your and Jay is asking, what are your requirements and percentage splits to sign as KPs? Jay, yes, I would love to talk to you. There are really no requirements. It's just that, one should have the net worth and the liquidity, and of course, that you have worked in real estate before, right? So sounds like you have done the work. I would love to talk to you. So note down my number, 631-428-6479. So Kyle, thank you so much. I would love to, you can just, as I said, you have my phone number, send me a text, Kyle. We have ALF experience, quite a bit actually. I would love to talk to you and see how how we can do something, give me a call, 631-428-6479. 631-428-6479. Send me a text and we'll go from there. Thank you so much for your time. So we'll talk to you next week again. Thank you so much.